Well, it's a completely different job, I know that. 22 years, 23 years of people doing sort of most of the things for me every day is quite a big shock when you come into this environment. So yeah, a different challenge, one that I'm enjoying, and one that's being helped by the team being in the position that we're in.
What's the transition like, moving from a teammate in the dressing room to then a senior role as a coach?
I think that's probably been the most difficult thing for me. You know, I was in that dressing room for probably 5 years, with obviously different players that come and go, and then the ones that are in there now would obviously have played with me for 12 months. And then having to be that person that can get, well, at times has to give them criticism about their performance and their work, and you know, that's not a nice thing to deliver to someone when you've been sat next to them sort of fighting for points on a Saturday. So that's the hardest thing for me at this club. I think it'd have been different if I'd have gone somewhere else. I'd have been, you know, a fresh face at a different club, although, you know, I might have known some people there, but it would have been a different sort of challenge for me.
And your relationship with Tiz, what's it like working under him, and what sort of things have you learned from him already?
Well, Tiz and I go back a long way, obviously back to the Southampton days when he was a player, and we've kept in touch throughout that time, so we're close anyway. I think we see the game the same, but even this year we've learnt through trial and error, and you know, doing well in games and mistakes and stuff like that. So it's always evolving, and you know, we're coming up with new ideas for training, and you know, talking about how we talk to players, and how we teach them. You know, I'm a big believer, and I think I've talked to you before about the visual learning, so we've brought a lot more video this year, and that gives the lads a different way of learning, especially here with the club sort of growing and not having the facilities for analysis suites and analysis staff and stuff like that. So you know, we're sort of playing catch up a little bit, but you know, Tiz is open to all sorts of things, so it's definitely moving in the right direction.
Yeah. So with that visual, I mean, there's some players, just like everybody in all walks of life, that are visual learners. Some that, you know, take on advice, and some that, you know, can take it on audio, can't they? But yeah. I mean, that does help, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think footballers in general are visual learners, and I think the big thing is it reduces the amount of time that you have to spend out on the training ground, you know, trying to talk through certain scenarios. It's where you can say, right, okay, well, let's look at this section of play from last week's training or last week's game or whatever, and this is what I want you to do, and this is what I don't want you to do. You know, you can see it straight away, and you know, if you've made mistakes on a Saturday, it can be quite difficult sitting there looking at the footage of you know, making an error. But you know, once you've seen it a couple of times, you understand how it happened and what happened. But sometimes in a game, if you don't watch that game back, you just think, oh, we conceded a goal from something. You didn't analyse what you did and where you were, or where the player ran from, and all the bits that you can learn from. So I think it's good, and I think the lads, I don't think they enjoy going into those sorts of sessions, because it can be in the afternoons after training and stuff. It's like an extra session, but I think if you ask them what they learn, they'll learn from those sessions.
And you've seen that transpire to points this season and results on the pitch.
Yeah, and that's just an extra thing that we've been doing. Obviously, you know, Paul has analysed what sort of squad he had at the beginning of the season, and what type of play we were going to do this year. You know, we've had a lot of years when I've been here, we've had some really talented footballers and probably haven't delivered on the pitch the results and points, where this year we've probably got a lot stronger squad in terms of physicality and size, and people are able to do their job set piece wise and stuff like that, and probably haven't got as many what I would call footballers in the side, but we are working in a certain way to win games this year, and that's working, and you know, I take my hat off for Tiz to recognise that and go to that this year.
Just want to touch on Matchday now. We often see yourself and Tiz in conversation with all of the coaching staff when the game's going. What's that process like? And are you doing it from? I suppose you're doing it from minute one, analysing.
Yeah, obviously my job is to analyse the team that we're playing early in the week, and then I deliver that to Paul on a Thursday, and then we'll work out what we're going to do leading up to the game. And then Matt Taylor and Andy Tilson will take the lads into the game and build them up energy-wise, and then I'll sit with Paul and we'll go through the scenarios of what we need to do from, like you say, minute 1 to minute 97, 98, or if you play Wickham it's 103 or whatever it went to in that game. So yeah, and with football anything can happen. You know, Kane getting sent off, for instance. You know, you hate that happening in the game, but you know, we had to react on that at that moment, right? What's going to happen? You know, and we've got to be able to move quickly and have people always warmed, ready to go if we've got subs left to go. You know, there's been times where we've made subs and we're going, right, we'll put so and so on, and someone said we've made 3 subs. Yeah. And you know, that can happen. You just, you know, so many things going on in the game and you forget. But yeah, we've got such a good team. I think on a match day, especially in leading up to games, that we cover all bases, and you know, Mel doing his detail on set pieces, and you know, Marcus doing his stuff with the statistics, and you know, it all feeds back to Paul, and he leads us from the front.
Listening to the interview after the Crewe Alexandra game, I found it really interesting that you were contemplating for a while to bring Robbie Simpson on, and the dynamic of the game changed, and you know, Robbie Simpson came on and helped you get the 2 goals. So that sort of like indicates that you're always analysing what the opposition are doing and what changes they might make, and how they change and everything else as well. Yeah. Comes into it.
Yeah, you know, even to the point where we'll study what time certain managers will make substitutions. So we'll build that into, you know, we don't want to go first. We'll let them make their change, and then we'll react to that. But yeah, like the Crewe game, we knew at that point in the game that we hadn't threatened enough in the penalty box. The Crewe goal, we didn't have many shots, many crosses, but we were on top. And that was my point to Paul, and he said, well, I don't want to change it just yet because we're on top, and if we change it and it goes the other way, and at that point they scored against the run of play, so it just made that decision. And like you say, Robbie came on, and we got back into the game and pulled out the point. So yeah, we got to be able to react, and sometimes just stay cool as well. Sometimes it's, you know, I think this year it probably is the amount of substitutions that Paul normally makes is 3 per game. You know, he just does it. And I've said to him sometimes, you know, you don't need to make them. Just hold back. Just let the team, you know, play their game. They're in it. They know what they're doing, and you know, we don't need to always make changes. And sometimes this year he's done that, and it's worked. And sometimes, you know, he's made the changes on his decisions, and yeah, we build all that in.
Okay. Of course, you had a taste of managing against Heybridge in the FA Cup earlier this season. Yeah. Is that something that you're looking to go into in the future? Or is it just?
No, I'm finishing with 100% win record. I don't know. I always said that I wouldn't go into coaching and I wouldn't go into management. It wasn't really my thing. And here I am, having had 1 year of sort of coaching, been assistant manager, managed a game. I don't know, who knows. I like being around players, I like working with groups, and I'm learning, you know, lots through the people that I'm around. You know, Steve Perryman and Paul are great people to learn from. So at the minute I'm in a good place. I haven't got plans to go there yet, but who knows.
Have you missed playing at all?
You know what, I've been able to continue to train with the lads as and when I've needed to, and join in 5-a-sides and stuff, and I think that just gives me that little bit of a drug that that is enough. My body was at a point where it was starting to really get to me and affect me, and I was trying to do other things on top of that as well, and it just wasn't enjoyable for me. Even though I still enjoyed the playing part, I couldn't combine the two. So getting involved in coaching, or the playing of coaching as well, alongside what Paul does, has helped, I think. Yeah.